Hello and welcome to this session on making the most of Book Creator. I'm your host Laura Martin, and throughout this recorded webinar I'm going to be talking through why we use Book Creator at Big Learning Company, what we find really useful about it, and I'm also going to be sharing some suggestions of how you can implement Book Creator into your practice with some really handy ideas. Okay, so let's kick things off with a bit of an agenda. So as I said, I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction into what Book Creator is, how Book Creator is typically used, how we use it at Big Learning Company, a little bit about setting up an account and the different subscription types, how you could use Book Creator, and then I'm going to share some of my favourite features as well. So just as a bit of background then into me and why I am promoting Book Creator. So I have 10 years of primary school experience, which include both class teacher roles and early on I was in classroom support as well. I've now got 4 years experience in work-based learning, specifically in IT and digital. And my job role at present is Head of Learning for Big Learning Company. I've newly been selected as a Book Creator Ambassador, which is great, and that it just shows that I've expressed my abilities in using Book Creator, and I've showed enthusiasm for the product and a willingness to share that with others. In no way am I being paid by Book Creator. I haven't been asked to present this webinar. It's just that I'm part of a network of other Book Creator ambassadors who share best practice and expertise, which is why I'm presenting this session today. So Book Creator, put simply as a bit of a tagline on their website, is a simple way to make digital books online on Chromebooks, PCs, iPads or tablets, and their key tagline is create, read and publish, which I'm going to go on to next. So I will be sending out a video link to this really useful video that I found. I'm not going to play it as part of this webinar, but it just sums up Book Creator in 60 seconds, so feel free to give that a watch after the session. First of all, picking up on that create tag. So Book Creator allows you to develop your own interactive, effective and professional looking ebooks using their platform. And the majority of the features that I have listed on the screen there are included in the free version, which, as you'll know from using web tools and digital platforms, you don't usually get to access the majority of features unless you subscribe to a premium account or subscription, which you have to pay for. Book Creator doesn't do that. There's very few features within it that you don't get access to without paying for them, and some of those you might not even need within your practice anyway. So just a selection, there's 50 hand-picked fonts. You can use your own images, or you can use images from the Google Safe Search, which is again another fantastic tool, because if you're working with children or you have concerns about copyright and restrictions such as that, it will only bring up images that are royalty free and safe, which is fantastic. You can drop in video or music, so you can either add your own videos or you can embed from YouTube or other video platforms. The pen tool can be used to draw and annotate, so if you're trying to explain something or you'd like to highlight something really simply, you can do that using the pen or the shape tool. And as I've said, shapes, icons, arrows, etc. to express your ideas. There's also a wide range of styles and layouts that you can use. I typically use the landscape because I think it reads more like an actual book, but you can also use square, you can use comic strip templates, which is particularly engaging for young people. So yeah, as you can see, there's a wide range of different things, which I will show you later on in the session what they look like. So the next tag then is read. So you can create a class library. So you can either create your own library for your learners or your students to access, or you can create a library that each of them creates a book in. So you can have a library, say it's class 2, their book library. Every single person in your class can create their own book, whether that be a story or a way of presenting what topic they've been learning about, or even an About Me book. They can all fit into one big library that you can then share with other children in the school. You can keep it private just to your class. You can share it with parents, all sorts of things. You add students simply by using a class code. So only children that you give the code to will actually be able to create books within that library, and it's usually a very easy code for them to copy. It's not very complicated, which I know can be a bit of a put off, I suppose, when it comes to setting up these platforms, is how difficult it is for children to get in. But yes, you can have students using a code. You can share books using a link, which is another fantastic feature. Once you've created and published a book online, you can just copy the URL and anyone who has that link can access the book. So everything that you change within the book from that point onwards, it's real time. So you don't have to then send out a new link every time you update it. Which, you know, if you create a PowerPoint or a Word document and you send it out to somebody via email, then every time you make an amendment, you have to send a new copy of that, unless you're using cloud sharing. But with Book Creator, every time you make an amendment, then the link updates itself. And there's an amazing read to me functionality. So you click read to me and the platform will actually pick out any pieces of text within the pages and read it. So for your less able readers or ones that aren't as engaged in reading, you can use that function. Finally, it's about publishing. So I mentioned there that you can share a universal link with anybody that you'd like to see the book, but you do have the option to password protect. So if there's any sensitive information or things that you don't want to share outside of your school, organisation, college, community, then you can add a password as well. I've mentioned that you can update at any time, and you can also export as EPUB files, which allows you to use them on an e-reader. Now, this isn't something that I've actually done, but the functionality is there for you to use if you need to. Okay, so how is Book Creator actually used then? From my experience, and this is from being both a teacher and a learning facilitator, I've seen Book Creator being used predominantly as a way of presenting evidence of work. So just going back to when I was in a primary school classroom, if I wanted the children to do an IT activity or get them to use digital methods such as an iPad or a netbook or a laptop, getting them to create a book on Book Creator was a nice way of including IT and technology into the classroom. So it tended to be something that they would do at the end of a topic or after a couple of lessons on the same subject. I'd get them to create an ebook to show what they'd learnt or to make up their own version of a story or something like that. It didn't typically get used as a really interesting way of engaging learners. It was kind of an end product, a solution. However, in my practice now, and certainly more over the last few years, I've seen Book Creator being used in a much larger range of ways of incorporating it into practice. And that's been to engage learners, it's been to create things like newsletters for parents and stakeholders and things like that. As information booklets, that's certainly how we use it in Big Learning Company, which I'll come on to, and as sources of reference. So you don't necessarily need to hand over Book Creator to the pupils to create things. You can create things as an educator and then share those with your learners as a way of using interactive textbooks and workbooks. So instead of sharing PowerPoints or Word documents or printed out copies of things, you can create an ebook that is then accessible on a range of devices. So if I just show you some examples of that, this is what our Big Learning Company library looks like. Okay, as you can see, it's all presented nicely on a bit of a bookshelf. If I click on the link here to take you into it to see what it actually looks like. Okay, we've got lots and lots of textbooks which are all lined up on the shelf in a nice, neat fashion. And we've chosen the colours, we've chosen how we wanted it to be displayed. We've created each of these front covers, and they're distinguishable by the numbers on the front so that the learners can easily see which is which. Now, we've kept the format pretty standard, and that helps to give this really professional, clean looking image of the library. So we've got the same font, the same colours, the logo, the same graphics. The only thing that we've changed is the main picture on each one, and then obviously the number at the bottom. But if I just quickly click into an ebook, it opens up as a book would. You turn the pages and it flips over quite nicely. So all of our ebooks have this standard sort of introduction of how to use it. And then it goes into the tasks and the information and the resources and the stimuli that the learners that we work with might need. So as you can see, there's a video there. These are links. We've got another link there. We've got questions. We've got things to consider. So if you just think back sort of 10, 20 years ago, where in the classroom you'd hand out textbooks, it's similar to that sort of thing, but it's interactive and accessible from anywhere. So as we work our way through, you can see there's lots of images and different prompts, and then at the end we've got a bit of a reference page for terminology. But you could create them and set them up however you want to, but that is just how we use them in Big Learning Company, and the feedback we've had on them has been fantastic. The learners know that they're there if they need them. They don't have to use them, but they're certainly a really useful resource. Okay, so going back to the PowerPoint then. In terms of accounts and subscriptions, as I said at the beginning, you don't have to have a paid for subscription to make the most of it. You can sign in with your Google or Microsoft account so that it links with the accounts that you've already had for easy sign up. Make sure if you are signing up as a learning facilitator, a teacher, a tutor, a trainer, you sign up as a teacher and not a student. So make sure you click on the teacher tab there. Okay, so once you've signed in, you'll have an option of the type of subscription that you want. This one here is free, so you get 40 free books in one library, and you can access all the features that I've just shown you. Or you can upgrade to 1,000 books, which allows you to have unlimited libraries. So, for example, if you are working as a secondary school teacher and you work with classes from year 7 to year 11, maybe you want to have different libraries for each year group, dependent on the topics and the skills that the learners are going to be developing. You could have a different library for each year group or each topic, each term, however you'd want to set it up. And then each of those libraries can have up to 200 books. So there's quite a difference, obviously, between those two different types of subscription. But, oops, sorry, this might be all you need for your purposes. The upgrade is $10 per month, which roughly equates to about £7.50. So it's really not a huge expense for the benefits that you get. And then there are options to sign up as a school if it's something that, you know, if you're in a particularly large school and you want to roll it out, then obviously you have the option to get in touch with them and do that. As I said, I'm not selling this product. I'm not getting commission or any kind of payment for this, but I just wanted to show you what the different options are for getting a subscription. Okay, so this is the more interesting part. I've given you all the theory, I've given you all the background. This is the most exciting part about using Book Creator. So something that they refer to quite often within the Book Creator community is app smashing, which you may have heard of before if you are sort of involved in Twitter or EdTech or anything like that. And as it said, it was a term first coined in 2013 by an EdTech teacher. And it's basically taking lots of different apps or platforms or learning resources and smashing them together in one place. Now, because of the nature of the way that Book Creator is set up, it is an easy way to present information. You probably find that Book Creator is the last step in an app smash, as you can see just here. So maybe you've created something in Trello, maybe you've created something in Microsoft Sway or Google Forms, or all these different things that are available to you, particularly on Hub if you are a primary teacher in Wales. You might want to use Book Creator as a way of bringing all of these different things together in one accessible place, so that the learners don't have to jump back and forth to emails or Word documents or whatever, trying to find the next step in their learning. They can keep coming back to the Book Creator product and going to the next page and reading about how they complete the task or whatever it is that you're doing with them. So app smashing is a really great way to organise learning and create that digital experience. So I'm going to show you some examples of app smashing, and the 3 examples that I have given are collaborative projects, assessment, and disseminating information. Okay, so the first one, collaborative projects. I've given the example here of a philosophy stimuli. I was going to go with Philosophy for Children, but that's obviously a branded program, so it's that kind of thing if you're familiar with it. But yeah, we'll go just with philosophy. So the reason I've gone with this one is when I, again, was a teacher, I was in a year 5 classroom with, so that's 9-10-year-olds, and the school introduced a bit of a thinking activity that they wanted each classroom in the school to look at or to discuss every week. And what that consisted of was having a display up in the classroom, and every Monday you'd print out a picture that had been chosen by the wellbeing coordinator in the school. You stuck that up on the screen in your classroom on the whiteboard, and you put it on the display. And throughout the week, the children were invited to give their thoughts and feelings of that picture. They were invited to answer questions and just share what the picture made them think about, which was a lovely activity. We had lots of wonderful discussions about it. The only issue with it was that every Monday you had to physically print out the image, you had to put it up on the display, you had to remember to do it, which when it's not a major part of your teaching and learning, and it's not going to be going into their exercise books, it was something that did slip the mind, unfortunately, so it became a bit of a chore to keep on top of it. Also, the children would write on post-it notes and stick them on the wall, which is a lovely collaborative way of sharing ideas, but somebody has to then go and take them all off and, you know, store them or photograph them, or it just became a bit of a chore, as you can imagine. Had I thought about using Book Creator in this way back then, it would have saved me so much time and effort, and it also would have created a really lovely piece of evidence that we could go back on and share if needed. So the idea is you create a shared workbook using Book Creator, update it on a weekly basis with just an image, provide a Trello link, which again I'll show you, for the learners to contribute their ideas to, and then share the ideas and responses to an audience. So maybe on a Friday afternoon, you click onto the book, you click onto Trello, and you share what the learners have done. Okay, so let me just show you what that looks like. So I'll click into the link. So this is the book, obviously a very basic design that I've thrown together. And the stimuli is this picture of a squirrel. Okay, so again, using Google Safe Search, found a picture, put it in there, really easy to insert and resize. I put the date there so the children or the learners know exactly which week we're referring to, and if I go forwards, I put another few ideas in there. And then at the bottom of the picture, you'd put the Trello link. So the children would spend time looking at the image, click on Trello board, that takes them up to a shared question space, and then they can each respond to the questions that have been put up specifically for that squirrel image. Okay, so how do you think the squirrel feels and what makes you think this? What do you think the squirrel would say if he could speak to you, etc. And the idea is the learners would click on add a card, type their name, and then I think the blah, 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 and then they'd add it. Okay, and then what you'd see throughout the week, hopefully, is the more children or learners that log in and leave their answers to those questions, this page would fill up. You'd go to it at the end of the week and revisit what people have said and get a discussion around it. And then you create a new board for the next week. And over the months and months and months that you do this, you'd have so much evidence to show for how you've encouraged their thinking skills and higher order skills and so on. Now, it looks like a lot, but once you've set up the template, so once you've got your book set up, every week all you're doing is changing the date and adding an image. The other thing then is thinking of 3 or 4 questions on a Trello board and you link it up. As simple as that, and the maintenance is very, very minimal. Okay, so that's, again, just one idea. It doesn't have to be for philosophy. You could do a similar collaborative project on other topics. Maybe you want to pose a mathematical question every week. Maybe you want to put a story in there from the newspapers from the weekend, something that could spark a bit of debate. This would have been perfect if I think back to year 10 and 11 when I was in school myself doing RE, and we would do some really in-depth debates about quite controversial subjects. You know, if we put a headline or a story or a picture into one of those books and then post some questions on Trello, that really would have been an interesting discussion. So, you know, the breadth of ideas that you could use this for are just huge. So that's the collaborative projects. The next idea then is assessment. So I've given everybody's favourite subject here as an example, which is manual handling. So the idea with this this use of Book Creator is to assess knowledge. So first of all, you deliver some training on a topic, and that could obviously be in a classroom setting face-to-face, or it could be online, just as I'm doing now. You provide the learners with a digital revision guide or handout in a Book Creator book. Within the book then, just like I linked to a Trello board in the last one, this time you'd link to a Google form or a Microsoft form, whatever you've got access to. And that would include multiple choice questions which will grade themselves. And then once they've used the revision book, once they've completed the multiple choice test, as long as they pass, you can provide them with a certificate of attendance or whatever you need for your programs of study or schemes of work. So again, if I just go into the link, I've thrown together a very basic manual handling revision guide, which obviously you can design as you like with a logo, etc. And then there's some different contents in there. I put the titles in. I haven't filled it all in with information. I didn't want to bore you with that. But the idea is they work through the revision. You could put videos and all sorts of things in there if you want to. Click here at the end, and that takes them into a Google form. Okay, right. I've already completed it, but if I can just show you what the questions would look like. So you'd put your name, you'd put your questions, and as you can see, I've selected the correct answer for that one, so it's given me a tick and a score. So you work your way through. I've not done so well in the rest of it, but basically that's given me my score, which is 2 out of 7. That's not going to be enough to pass, so then you'd send the link out to the learner again to have another go. But the idea is there, okay? You complete, they work their way through the guidance, the revision notes, do a test at the end, and then you've got a lovely way of evidencing their knowledge and understanding. Okay, and then the final idea is disseminating information. So this one is suitable for all types of organisations, doesn't have to be school or college based. It could be that you want to share regular information on a monthly or bi-monthly basis with colleagues, staff members, members of your network or organisation. And the idea with this one is that, again, you create a format or a template, and all you do each month is update the information. You don't have to be creating it every single month and it become a really unnecessary chore that you kind of, you don't want to actually sit down and do. So you create an agreed format, you update it each month, asking different departments for some input. So maybe there's something going on in the IT department that everybody needs to know about. Maybe there's something in a particular subject area. So maybe the art department has done a showcase or a gallery within the school. There's all sorts of things that you could share. You put all of that into the ebook, and then you could send a Microsoft form that people fill in for feedback or ideas, or maybe things that they would like to contribute to next month's newsletter. Okay, so similar to what I did in the last one with a Google form, this time I'm using Microsoft Forms. So again, if I go into the link, and again, I've put together a very basic front cover, which, you know, when you actually start to get to grips with Book Creator, you'll see how easy it is to set these things up, and you can be as creative as you want to be. So I've done it as a bit of a cartoon sort of comic layout, which is a bit vibrant, but you know, the idea is this month in pictures, a bit like a newspaper would do. So things that have been going on within the organisation over the past month. Employee of the month, had to nominate myself there, didn't I, as an example. So you could put a nomination form into a Microsoft form or a Google form and get people to nominate other members of staff that they think are deserving of Employee of the Month. You could include the nomination there, and then you could say what that person's going to receive as a prize. I'm not actually going to get those vouchers, I wish I was. And then departmental updates and birthdays, things like that could all be included. And then at the end, I've included a Microsoft Forms link where, as I said, people can contribute things that have been going on in their department that month or ideas for the next newsletter. So it's a real, again, collaborative way of sharing information with the teams. So that's 3 ideas. I've put a few more quick ones in, which I'm not going to show you, I'm just going to talk about. So going back to classroom practice, again, spelling and phonics were the bane of my life when I was a teacher. It just seemed to be that never-ending task of having to organise pieces of paper or lists or activities. Had I used Book Creator, it would have been so much easier just to share the link with parents, update it on a weekly basis with the words that I wanted the children to look at or learn, or even the sound in phonics. I could have put a page with the sound that they were learning that week, a couple of YouTube videos sending them to songs and activities online. I could have given them suggested practical ideas to do with the children at home. All that sort of stuff would have made life much easier had I known about it. So spelling and phonics would be one. User manuals. So if you have a piece of machinery, or something like that in your organisation, rather than having a printed manual that can quite easily go missing, make an ebook manual, create a QR code for it and stick the QR code to the piece of machinery on the wall above it, and then people can scan it and look at how to use it. Just something as simple as that. Sharing useful links. So if you have been encouraging games or videos or websites or anything with your team, with your colleagues, with the children or the learners that you work with, you could create a library, a catalogue of all of those with different categories inside with a content page for people to access. A prospectus, maybe there's a course that you're delivering, or a program, or anything really that you'd like to promote and share information about, rather than having to spend a long time creating it and printing it and so on. You can develop something, and then as and when the information changes or there's limited spaces remaining, you can update the prospectus as and when you need to. And finally, another thing that often takes an awful lot of organisation is big maths. So if there's particular skills or methods or anything that you're promoting within your practice, then you could use a book creator book to support that. Okay, so hopefully some of those ideas have given you food for thought as to how you can implement Book Creator. Just a few things that I think are just really cool within Book Creator that I want to share with you. The one that I'm actually going to demonstrate is the drawing tool, which the feedback I've had has been really interesting. The other thing is audio and visual recording. So you can record yourself within Book Creator, just as I'm doing now, speaking to the camera, and it could be talking your learners through the topic that you're introducing through an ebook. Maybe you want to introduce the topic and just have a video on the first page, which is welcome to this module on blah, blah, blah. Work your way through the ebook. There's a quiz at the end. And it's just a nice personable way for the learners to be introduced to the book that you've created for them. They can also include captions, which are automatic. You can review it, you can insert captions, edit them if they're not quite right. We know that captions aren't always perfect. I'm looking at the transcript as I'm recording this video, and I can tell you it's not 100%. So you have the option to edit the captions that are inserted into your Book Creator videos. And as I've mentioned a few times now, it's got Google Safe Search, which gives you that peace of mind when using images. So if I just go in and show you the drawing tools, I'm going to go into Book Creator, and I will go into this where I've got a blank book so far. So if I just go into the second page, right, this is what the editing page looks like when you're creating an ebook. It's very basic, okay? There's not an awful lot to it to make it very confusing. If I click on the plus icon at the top right corner, it shows me all of the different things that I can do, okay? Now I want to use the pen, and I'm going to select the auto pen. And as you can see, it's got lots of images and icons at the side there. So if I click that, what this tool does is it guesses what you're trying to draw and then offers you images to actually insert into your book. So rather than having to go looking or searching for the image you want, you can draw it instead. Okay, so if I just, I'm going to choose a snail. Okay, so if I just do this with the pen with my mouse, you don't have to be Picasso to get this to work. It's got some donuts and things there at the moment, but that's not what I'm after. So if I just do that, as you can see, it's provided different snails that I can use and insert. How cool is that? Like, that is artificial intelligence, isn't it? So that's the image that I want to use. I can go up to the top and I can change the colour of the outline as well. I can even do things like that to make it sparkly. I mean, can you imagine how blown away the children are going to be with this? So that's just an example. If you're trying to do flow diagrams or concept drawings or anything like that, you know, you can do an arrow, which is fine, but it doesn't look very neat and tidy. And then you can look to see if there is a neater version there, which obviously that one is. Okay, so it just looks a bit cleaner and a bit more professional than one that you might draw with your mouse, for example. Okay, so that is just what I think is a brilliant tool. It's so clever. So that's the drawing tool using the automatic pencil. The other things then, as I said, you can record. So if I click that, it won't let me do it now because I'm using my camera to create this webinar, but you can record your voice or you can record a video and insert it in there. Text, it brings up quite a straightforward text box. and then you can edit the text and the formatting as and how you need to. Import, that's where you can look for safe search images. You could put a map, you know, you could be teaching geography or putting activities in there related to distance and time and things like that. You can incorporate files, so if you do need to include a Word document or a PDF, you can throw that in, or you can embed YouTube videos, even Adobe Spark and things like that. So a really good range of different things. So that is pretty much everything that I wanted to cover in this session. Just as a bit of a recap, obviously we focused on what Book Creator is and what it can do, how we use it at Big Learning Company and how you could incorporate it into your teaching activities. App smashing and how useful that can be to incorporate a range of different teaching and learning tools. And then some of my favourite features and tips as well. I probably will be delivering more sessions on Book Creator in the future, picking up on different threads and topics. But in the meantime, if there's anything that you have any questions about, please feel free to get in touch. My email is on screen there, laura@biglearningcompany.com. And if you would like to be kept up to date with any future webinars and online sessions that we're going to be delivering, then let me know and we can add you to our mailing list. But thank you for watching. If you've stayed tuned for this long, thank you very much. Please feel free to go back to different parts of this recording to just go back to how to do different things and for those different ideas, and also feel free to share with colleagues if you think they'll find it useful. But hopefully I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Diolch.